Yeah, so we've actually got Mock Draft Monday on a Monday, if you can believe it. We've also got a Saints franchise offseason stream probably right after you watch this video. I probably am live right now, twitch.tv/Bengal. But let's go ahead and get into the 2026 NFL mock draft. Things have changed. The Saints are back on the clock at number 1 as the Jets have won their first game. And the fact that they benched Spencer Rattler leads me to believe that they don't view him to be the future of their franchise at all. And I do recognize, trying to see what you have with Tyler Shuck, but Rattler has mostly played pretty well this year. Still a younger quarterback. It was surprising to me to see them bench him when he, again, played fairly well. There are a lot of problems with the New Orleans Saints, and it's not just Spencer Rattler. I can't believe I'm saying that, but if they're experimenting at quarterback, it means if they're picking at number 1, unless they get an absolute haul, they're probably taking a quarterback. And here in October, we're still not doing any trades in these mock drafts, which makes Fernando Mendoza the first overall pick in this draft. I also think he's a great fit for the Kellen Moore offense. You take a guy that's very heavy RPO focused at Indiana, and then you add in all the fun stuff that Kellen Moore likes to do, and it seems like a pretty good fit. And Fernando Mendoza, from a mental capacity standpoint, I think would be a really good fit in that offense, and a great combo with Kellen Moore. So Mendoza to the Saints here. The Saints are back to taking a QB at number 1 overall. We had a fun few weeks in there where they considered, Ruben Bain or Arvell Reese or others, but it's back to Mendoza. And the Jets, if they're at number 2, they don't have a quarterback for the future. So they've got to take one if they like one, of course. They're not tied into the quarterback position, but these quarterbacks are pretty good. And Ty Simpson has played great this year. Outside of the Florida State game, which was a tough first start, and really everything didn't go that well for the Tide in that game. But Simpson, since then, has been absolutely incredible. And it's easy to see not only such a high floor with him, but a decent ceiling as well. Maybe not, the best quarterback in the NFL because the tools don't exactly jump off the page, but he's on time, he's on target, he makes plays when the team needs him to make plays. He's safe with the football, but not, too check down heavy where he's afraid to make any type of a throw down the field. I like Ty Simpson a lot as a prospect so far, and the Jets could land their franchise quarterback here at number 2. At number 3, the Titans don't need to take a quarterback. They've got Cam Ward. They're going to see what happens with him over the next couple of years, you'd imagine. So what do? Well, they take the best defensive player in college football this year, and to me, that has been Ruben Bain. Caleb Downs has been great too. Arvell Reese has been great. But Ruben Bain, based on the position he plays and the impact that position at its best can have on the game, he's been the most impactful defensive player in college football. Ruben Bain to the Titans. They need to improve their pass rush. This is just the clear and obvious player to take here at this pick. He has been a stud. As we are back to the Browns, and again, I think it's got to be a quarterback. This team needs QB. Dylan Gabriel, not a fringe top 100 pick is not stopping you from taking a quarterback at 4 when there are good ones available. Shedeur Sanders is not stopping you from taking a quarterback here. So if the Browns are on the clock at 4 or higher with one of the top 3 quarterbacks available, I think that's the direction that it would go. Dante Moore is my pick here. Got injured last week, but this is a guy who continues to play well. Again, on time, on target. I would say the most pro-style offense of the top 3 quarterbacks. Definitely more than Indiana. Alabama's, I guess, somewhat close, right? But it's easy to find translatable skills, I would say, in the Oregon offense. And that, for me, is a decent part of the evaluation process because it's easier to know that a guy can do something when you've seen them do it before. That's why with Jackson Dart, for example, it was tougher to say, oh, he's going to be this great prospect because not only does he have these problems as a prospect, he also is in a very unfamiliar offense to what we're going to see at the NFL level. And he ends up just playing awesome for the most part already. We are seeing some issues with him. Again, not a perfect prospect, but he's played great so far for the most part, especially based on where my expectations were. But sometimes you miss because the tape is only a small part of the prospect evaluation process, and I don't have access to a lot of the other stuff. Can't talk to the guy, can't bounce off different scouts to what they see, or talk to, coaches and all these different things, and can't evaluate their mental ability, which is so important at the quarterback position. But yeah, so Dante Moore is the pick. All that to say that Dante Moore, if he's available to the Browns, I think it'd be a pretty good fit. He's played great football this year as we get to the Dolphins at 5. And I just think he's been one of the best players in the draft in college football this year. Arvell Reese has been just awesome. He can play off ball. He can play on the ball. His ability to get to the passer is really, really good for what I think most would consider to be an off-ball linebacker, because he's got the ability to read and react, stack and shed blocks. He's a really, really good player, and it's just he's pretty much an unblockable player. Offensive line, tight end, running back, no one can seem to actually block this guy. His play strength is on another level, and for the Dolphins, they do have needs, but with the top 3 quarterbacks off the board, and then there being a significant drop-off probably after that, Lenore Sellers, I think, has played above where the maybe not expectations, but he played above where the consensus is on him right now, I would say, because most people think Lenore Sellers is just Anthony Richardson, and it's not really the case. Yeah, he still has a while to go. Still has a ways to go in terms of getting the ball out quicker, being more decisive in general, and then I really don't see accuracy, at least down the field, as being too much of a problem with him. I think that's good. It's just the offensive line's really bad, so it's tough to get in those positions to really showcase that skill. Obviously, we've talked a lot about his sack avoidance and his ability to extend plays and do things with his legs, but the arm is quite good. It's just, okay, mental processing needs to speed up a little bit, and you don't necessarily blame him for, it being a little bit slower because he's so used to scrambling and receivers not being open quick. But when they are, you've got to be able to hit them. I just think the situation is not necessarily conducive to success at the moment for Lenore Sellers. So I imagine you see him go back to school, but also transfer. So we'll see what happens with that. That's purely speculation at this point. But yeah, I do think Arvell Reese could be a good pick here for Miami over a quarterback. There's just really no quarterback to take. And Tua just came off a great week. And sometimes that's how it is. Maybe Tua continues his play over the course of the season, and suddenly you like Tua as your franchise quarterback again. It's this thing with Bryce Young every week. Either he's the franchise guy or he's not. So anyway, we keep getting sidelined by tangents here, but Arvell Reese, the Dolphins, he's been fantastic this year, one of my favorite players in the draft, and the Lions could use an upgrade at linebacker, but also somebody that can get to the quarterback as a sub-package player. So I'm excited to see how the Dolphins could potentially deploy him as we get to the Giants at number 6. A lot of needs here for the Giants. I think the best fit is Jordan Tyson. He is the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion, at this point. Injuries are a bit of a concern to me at this point. He's injured quite a lot, but really, really good player, dynamic, and has wide receiver 1 potential. You combine him with Malik Neighbors, and suddenly you're building quite a good combo, and I think the Giants are desperately needing an upgrade at wide receiver 2, because I don't think Darius Slayton is that guy. I think Wan'Dale Robinson's a fun slot, but you need an upgrade on the outside. And now that Malik Neighbors has a big-time injury, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get when he comes back. So Jordan Tyson, to me, makes a lot of sense. Ravens at number 7, going Peter Woods. I still think he's one of the best players in this draft class, and there are so many questions about the interior defensive line for Baltimore, even their edge room as well. But with Nnamdi Madubuike dealing with a neck injury, and not only his season being over, but you start to worry about the career. And even outside of him, you could use more of a pass rush from the interior defensive line. I think Peter Woods just makes a lot of sense. You're hoping Nnamdi Madubuike can come back and be great and have a long and fruitful career, but we just don't know. And there are a lot of unknowns when it comes to injuries in the National Football League. Raiders at number 8, you want it to be a quarterback, but who are you taking at this point? I just don't know that we're going to continue to have Lenore Sellers pop into the first round of these mock drafts. But we'll see. There's no quarterback to take here, in my opinion. We're going to go Spencer Fano. This tackle class has not played especially well this year, but all of these teams need tackle at the top of the draft. From just the teams that you could really see needing help on the offensive line, I wouldn't necessarily discount the Saints, even though that unit is better than it's been, and they wouldn't take a tackle more than likely, right? But the Titans, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Ravens, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Bengals, the Rams, maybe the Commanders, but there are bigger needs to me. Potentially the Vikings, certainly the Texans. I think the Bears are in that conversation. I think the Chiefs are in that conversation. The Steelers certainly are. The Browns again. The Niners certainly are. Like, all of these teams need some form of offensive line help, right? And especially this run of like Raiders, Cardinals, the Texans when they were picking up their Bengals, obviously. There just aren't that many good tackles to take. So what do? Spencer Fano ends up being the 8th pick in the draft here. He, I think, can be quite a good player. Just hasn't been as good as he was last year in 2025. But that O-line is a mess. Guard is certainly a need. I think right tackle certainly is as well. We'll see what the Raiders decide to do. Cardinals, though, what do? We're going to go offensive line again. We're going to go Francis Mauigoa. Has the ability to play right tackle, of course. We've seen that. But also, a lot of scouts think he can move inside to guard, and that may be his best position in the NFL. So, for the Cardinals here, you potentially cross off a couple of different needs. But I think if he can play right tackle, which we've seen so far, try him at right tackle until it doesn't work, and then potentially move him inside. Do the Will Campbell thing, which has worked out so well for the Patriots so far, where, okay, he's shown that he can stick a tackle. Why worry about it then, you know? It's only an issue when it is. But if it's not an issue, just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bengals at number 10. Going to go Caleb Downs. He's arguably the best defensive player in the draft, and maybe even just the best player in the draft. But play safety, it's a less valuable position. We know the NFL does not draft this position all that highly, but the Bengals could certainly upgrade their defense in a big way. And their safety group is not all that impressive right now. Geno Stone, not really the best signing of all time. Jordan Battle is not the best. Yeah, like, he's okay sometimes, and then sometimes he's definitely not. So you want a little bit more consistency, and a guy like Downs, who's a real leader, a real great mind for the game as well. He's just so intuitive. He always knows where the ball's going to be. Great player. And to me, he's like, remember Brian Branch as, he was this type of player, but in the slot. Downs is that type of player, but really more of a true safety. Even if I think he's more of a strong safety than a free safety type of guy, just with his ability to cover down the middle of the field. But I think he's really, really good, and would be an upgrade here for the Cincinnati secondary. Rams at 11. Going to go Mansour Delane. He's been the best corner in college football this year, in my opinion. At least of the draft-eligible players. Nothing to take away from, you know, Notre Dame or I don't know, maybe Georgia. I mean, Leonard Moore is obviously the one that stands out more than anybody else. But Mansour Delane has been fantastic this year as a transfer from Virginia Tech. The Rams have long needed an upgrade at corner. This just seems like a no-brainer fit. Commanders at 12. I'm going to go Keldrick Falk, just the best player here for the Commanders. Help off the edge, big body, great run defender, but has really shown a little bit more with getting after the passer this year. And he's just the type of body that, you know, the Commanders are really going to like. 285, big, 4'3", presence on the edge. Seems like a no-brainer fit there for Dan Quinn. Vikings at 13 take maybe the best player in the draft. I would say probably the best offensive player. He is a game changer, and I think Kevin O'Connell would really value what he's able to do for the offense. He's just got this game-breaking ability with his speed, ability to make you miss in a phone box. And phone box is not a thing. Phone booth. And his ability to create just huge plays out of nowhere can completely change a game. And the Vikings don't have that ability right now. And a lot of teams don't. And the Vikings, I think, are one of these teams, though, that could actually consider taking a running back in the first round. I think if you got the infrastructure in place, they've dealt with some injuries, no question, but I think this would be quite a good pickup for them. Now, they need center, they need tackle, supposedly. A lot of that is health related. Ryan Kelly, good starting center when healthy. At tackle, obviously we know about Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill. When healthy, those guys are great. Darrisaw is often injured. Ryan Kelly has been injured. As we get to the Texans at 14. Going Vega Ioane. You know, I think the first guard off the board could be in the first half of the first round. You have so many teams that need offensive line help, and there aren't that many blue chip players in this draft, which maybe would push a guy like Jeremiah Love up the board, or Caleb Downs up the board potentially. So you're going to start to see probably some like weird positions and players go high in the first round, because I think there's going to end up being like a lot of players that you're going to rank similarly. Like kind of like last year, how different is the 15th best player in this draft compared to the 50th? I'm not sure, again, that it's that significant. And we've kind of had that trend in the draft over the past few years. But to me, it seems like it's kind of returning again. So it seems a little bit early for Ioane here, but he's been the best true guard in college football this year, and the Texans really need help on that O-line. I think it could be a good fit. You're almost forcing it there a little bit, but you know, we see guards go in this range all the time. So it may seem weird because it's not a name you're used to seeing go quite this high, but I think it's certainly plausible. As we get to the Cowboys at 15, going David Bailey. A lot of these teams need edge help as well. And a lot of these edge rushers, it's tough. They're very good pass rushers and very good athletes, but very few of them seem like true three-down players that can also defend the run well. And David Bailey is a special pass rusher, but there are so many edge players in this class that are 250 or less, or listed at 250 and definitely playing closer to 240, even 235. And you can go down the list here. And these type of players generally do not go that high in the first round or in the first round at all. So it's tough for me to get these guys off the board. But Bailey's a little bit different because he's a really, really good pass rusher. But Cassius Howell, also explosive, really good pass rusher, light, sub 250. Romello Height, 240 pounds. LT Overton's different. R. Mason Thomas, sub 250 pounds and maybe even playing lighter. There are concerns about if he's a three-down player or not. Joshua Josephs, I really like him as a pass rusher. He's 240 pounds. How high is that going to get drafted? Uwe Ungalale is a little bit bigger, but doesn't really play with the power that you'd like of someone that's 270 pounds. So, and don't even get me started on Dani Dennis Sutton. This guy, I don't actually think is going to be a first-round pick or close to it, even though people keep asking about him. He's a name that got hyped because Penn State was a good team last year, and he was a starter that made some big-time plays. But I almost think like a Tyreek Sapp is going to be more valued by a lot of NFL teams, even though he hasn't had a great year this year. But I think a Zion Young could start getting some first-round hype because he's played fairly well, and he's got some decent size. And we'll see. I think Quincy Rhodes is going back to school. LT Overton hasn't exactly played great this year. Derek Moore is another one where this guy's played great this year. He's a little bit bigger. He's like a redshirt senior. Could he start ending up getting some first-round hype? There are some questions here, and I haven't even talked about TJ Parker. He is a little bit bigger. He's got three-down potential for sure, but he hasn't been as dominant of a pass rusher this year. So it's like, what are you getting with this edge group? I don't know yet. I don't know. We got a lot of season left. Panthers at number 16. Going Carnell Tate. They've got some other needs, but I think Tate's got a conversation about being a top 10 pick. He's been great this year. And you look at the Panthers, and I think wide receiver maybe isn't your biggest need, but it's not a need. And I think Tate is almost too good not to take here. Yes, you could totally try to upgrade the pass rush. Really, their defense in general is not great. And I'm a really big Jalen Coker fan. I am. Love him as a player. Ted McMillan's been great. But I think that might be your trio going forward. And I think Xavier Legette is maybe your fourth option. And the rest I'm not really all that concerned about. That's just where I honestly am on that at this point. Bears at number 17. I'm going to go TJ Parker here. Listen, we talked about tackle last episode. Tackle is not a need for the Bears. I know the double negatives. It is a need. It is. Why is that? Oh, Benedette's been good. Braxton Jones, whatever. He's not great. Benedette maybe is better than Braxton Jones. But you have to also consider the contract situations of these players. I'm 90% sure Braxton Jones is gone next year no matter what. And then Benedette is an ERFA. It's not necessarily a guarantee he's going to be back next year, and you've seen such a small sample. Who's to say that he's going to hold up over the rest of the season at left tackle? It's a weird spot for Chicago. So to say that they're not even going to consider a left tackle here when Caden Proctor's on the board and starting to play a little bit better, I don't think that's fair. I think it's absolutely in play, but they also have other needs. Their edge room is not great, and linebacker could potentially be upgraded as well. This Bears team, they need to figure out how to score more points, though. So we'll see what happens. You like to think that Ben Johnson's going to get them going. You like to think that Caleb Williams is going to end up playing a little bit better than he has lately, but who's to say? So the Bears have a lot of question marks. We'll see what the rest of 2025 has in store. But right now we're going with TJ Parker, try to upgrade the pass rush. It is a need. And it's a similar need here for the Chiefs. They have a lot of needs, in my opinion, but they still are one of the best teams in football. And it wouldn't surprise me if instead of at 18 here, the Chiefs are picking at 28 or 32. They're quite a good team. I do think their pass rush could use help. I also think their interior defensive line could use some help. And that's actually where I'm going here. We're getting Amari Washington off the board. He's such a big body, and they're lacking that on the interior defensive line for the future. Washington is a pocket pusher. He's really, really strong. He's had a great season. And you look on the interior defensive line of the Chiefs, and based on the age of a lot of these players, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, or the size of some of these players, their three-down potential, as you keep hearing me talk about, Omar, Norman, and Lott, they could use a player like Amari Washington. I know the edge rush, is the pass rush off the edge is not great, but again, you look at these edge rushers that I talked about earlier, how many are like Steve Spagnuolo edge rushers? You're looking at 270, 275 pounds. This does not fit the bill of a lot of the guys in this class. So are any of these 240, 250 pound edge rushers good fits here for what the Chiefs like to do and how they like to draft? They're not. So I'm just not going to, I can't go that direction. I don't think it's possible. Amari Washington on the interior D-line is my pick. Steelers at 19. Keep talking about this every week. They need a quarterback. I don't know what they're going to do next year and beyond. You cannot rely on Aaron Rodgers to be your franchise quarterback. He's just too old and too much of a wild card. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do next week, let alone in 2 years. Could be hosting a TV show. Could be doing nothing. Could be a Buddhist monk. I'm not sure what he's going to be up to. So quarterback will be a need. It will be. And I did not forget about Will Howard. Quarterback's a need. And when you're good enough to not be picking in the top 5 or top 10, but not good enough to take the next step, where are you going to take the swing on a quarterback? It's kind of got to be in the middle of the first round. And I think Brendan Sorsby has played great this year. I got him in the first round of my last mock draft. I'm going to continue doing it because I think the tools are there. He's played great. He's got good size. He's got really effortless velocity. And his arm talent is good. I think this could be a first round player. Now, he may end up going day 2. I think that's probably what ends up happening. But right now, let's show Brendan Sorsby some love. This could end up being a first-round player to a team like the Steelers or the Rams or maybe even the Browns, depending on what they do at the top of the draft, that may consider a quarterback in the back half of the first round, or even a team trading back up. These are possibilities. Browns at number 20. I keep doing it, but I still like it. I'm going with Kai Lemon. I think he's such an awesome player. He is just one of these guys, like I talk about, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, USC connection, or Jackson Smith and Jigba, where the size doesn't jump off the page, but everything else does. He's not the fastest either, but he is rugged and tough. He makes the tough catches. He's good after the catch. He's going to be a producer in the NFL. Love him as a player. Niners at 21. Went Chris Bell last week. That wasn't exactly loved, but you think if Kyle Shanahan views a guy that can be his Deebo Samuel, it's not going to be under consideration. And this is getting to be a pretty fun receiver class, but I get they also need tackle. Thankfully enough for them, Caden Proctor's available, and you have something you could develop for the future. He's a left tackle. You have a left tackle, but he's really old at this point. But Caden Proctor could potentially slide over to that right side, but could that create more problems? Maybe so. Maybe Trent Williams retires. I don't know. That was an interesting rhyme. But he's a fit. We know you need to upgrade the offensive line. Caden Proctor ends up being how we do that here today. Chargers at 22. I'm doing it again. Did it last week. Cassius Howell. I think he's a good fit for the defense. And he has been so explosive, so dominant as a pass rusher this year. He is undersized with short arms. If that's not a concern for you, he's going to end up being a first-round pick because his quickness off the edge, especially darting back to the inside, is so elite. He can really take over a game. And he's done it for A&M this year. He's been a great player. Chargers pass rush for the future does not look great. Rams at 23, we're going to go Jermod McCoy. He is clearly the best player available, but because of injury, Jermod McCoy has not played in 2025. I don't really know what to do with that because he was so unreal last year and wasn't draft eligible. And then here he is, 2025, hasn't touched the field. What do we do about that? Well, based on the 2024 tape, he's a first rounder, but maybe closer to the back half of this first round. Rams, we know, have needed to upgrade cornerback, and we've done it twice now. That may seem a little bit crazy, but I think the potential return, the value on Jermod McCoy is just too crazy. So, yeah, we double dipped on corner. That probably won't happen, but maybe it does. He's a really, really good player. And there's just not a tackle here I feel that great about. Like maybe Caleb Lomu, but decided to double dip on corner because I thought he was just the best player for the Rams. Lions at 24, going Avion Terrell. Again, I think he fits the culture. He is tough, even if a bit undersized, and is a really, really good player. Lions could certainly look to upgrade cornerback, although they've got a number of other needs as well. Bills at 25. I like to get Sonny Styles off the board here. Some of these fits end up being the same for me on a week-to-week basis just because I think the fit is really good and they happen to be available. And Sonny Styles, I've compared to Tremaine Edmonds with just the big body, like oversized linebacker, but with safety-type movement skills. And that feels like a really, really good fit in the Buffalo defense. Seahawks at 26. Want to upgrade cornerback, but they're starting to fly off the board. If we want one, we got to take one. And there are some really good ones available. I think Will Lee is maybe the best fit for this Seattle defense. He is another like tough, rugged, physical defender. Don't look at the PFF grade. I don't really worry about that at all. But he's got good size. He, again, has a nose for the football, plays tough. He's one of these like trash-talking corners that I think a lot of teams will fall in love with. And he's been quite a good player, one of the more impact players on this A&M defense. As we get to the Broncos at 27, it is the easiest Kenyon Sadiq ever. He is an incredible player. The value of tight end makes him slip a little bit in this draft. It's just tough to find a fit for tight end with a lot of these other teams, but he is a great player. Can block, is certainly a great receiving option, and the Broncos need this. I understand Evan Ingram, right? But he's not under contract for too many more years. Sadiq, I think, can be the guy for the future. Great weapon for Bo Nix. Little Oregon connection there. Although I don't know if he's ever caught a pass from Bo Nix. But really, really good player. And he's also from around this area. He's from Idaho. It's not like that close to Colorado, I guess. But it's in that, like, out toward the Pacific Northwest area. I don't know. It's just the player to team fit makes a ton of sense. I don't really care about the geographic implications, but I figured I would tell you anyway. I don't know. Bucks at 28. A linebacker's an overwhelming need, and guess who's available? Anthony Hill Jr. Great player. Has been awesome for Texas this year. I don't know if he ends up being a first-round pick, but his versatility, I think, could be really fun as a blitzer, especially in this Todd Bowles defense. And Hill is awesome. Again, I wonder if he ends up getting into the first round, but I think the potential is there. So we'll have that fit for today. Linebacker, big need. And, of course, Lavonte David's been a great player, but it's not just him, and he's like 35. So you need more. Patriots at 29. Going to go Joshua Josephs here. Again, undersized, but dynamic pass rusher. There is some value there for the Patriots who could upgrade the pass rush in a big way. Eagles at 30. And I will say with the Patriots last week, I kind of misspoke talking about them taking a tackle. I do think tackle's a need on that right side. And then when I mentioned left tackle, it was not about upgrading Will Campbell, but drafting a left tackle to potentially move. And I had talked about moving tackles earlier, and I didn't explain it in a good enough way. In my brain, I'm like, I am thinking it, so surely the audience knows it. Obviously not, I guess, because I was flamed for saying the Patriots should upgrade Will Campbell, which I did not mean. Even though I didn't outright say it, I did say left tackle. I was just about taking the position of a player that plays left tackle at the college level, like maybe a Caden Proctor, and moving him to the right side where you have the need. But I didn't explain it well enough. I understand the criticism. Today, we're going to the other side of the ball. We're getting an edge rusher. Eagles at 30. I'm going Keith Abney here. Cornerback is such a need, and Abney's played really well this year. There are a lot of fun corners in this class. I think Abney's got a chance to go round 1. Fits the bill there to Philadelphia at 30. Cowboys at 31. I think receiver is in play. And I know it doesn't seem like the biggest need because they have Pickens, who's a stud, and they have CeeDee Lamb, who's a stud. They have other needs, right? You think interior defensive line, but I don't exactly know who they would take. Like, Caden McDonald's played very well this year. No question. Kristen Miller's been good. And Caleb Banks has been injured the whole time, unfortunately. I think McDonald or Miller could end up going in round 1. McDonald's been great. But I want to mix it up because I've done this for Dallas, even though I did the same David Bailey pick at 15. I'm going to say, what about a receiver? Jalen Tolbert's not under contract next year. Let's talk about a receiver who's played great this year. I hate to show the Aggies so much love in a video, but Kevin Concepcion has been amazing for A&M. He was awesome at NC State. It's not surprising to see him play well. He's a great player, and he has been dominant for A&M, not only as a receiver, but as a return man. He'd be a really fun third option. He stays in state here. So, kind of seems like a fun fit. I know it's not the biggest need, but, you know, I guess you could take C.J. Allen. Like, hey, if you want alternate picks here for the Cowboys, C.J. Allen, Caden McDonald. Those are going to be the 2 alternate picks today, but I wanted to talk about KC Concepcion. It's been tough for me to find a spot for receiver at the back end here. There are obviously a number of teams that could consider it, but we went towards other players today. But he has been awesome. Wanted to at least get his name off the board in the first round of a mock because it may end up going a lot higher than this. Final pick of the 2026 NFL mock draft today will be linebacker C.J. Allen from Georgia. Still great, good size, good athleticism. Linebacker is an overwhelming need for Indianapolis. So that is my 2026 NFL mock draft for today. Took some liberties, as I typically do, but wanted to talk about some of these players. And it's kind of tough to do that with, you know, marrying the player to team fit, the team need to here's where I think this player is going to end up going in the draft when it's only October. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Saints offseason stream coming up like now, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.